I want you to put them together for our very own Honorable Coordinator, Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad.
Persons that are before me and all of you that are in the... No, because of the fire, be careful. Yeah. We don't want to unveil this DiasporaHub app for the benefit of all Nigerians, Africans in the diaspora, and all humanity, and to the glory of God. And so help us, God. Thank you. Thank you. So this is the DiasporaHub, and it is a downloadable app, and you can use the QR code to register. You can also get it on Google Play and download on the App Store. So, congratulations. Thank you, sir. Fixing a key pillar of the health transformation that Nigeria needed, at least in terms of affordability, in terms of risk pooling, preparedness mechanisms, and our ability to buy quality healthcare. And in just 1 year, he increased the pace of enrollment, along with the states and others in the private sector, in ways that we have not seen in 20, 30 years. But we have to stay on that path. And so your intervention with the Diaspora Health Insurance is a necessary piece, crowding in the resources that we know you have in the diaspora to invest, to ensure affordable access to quality healthcare by our population here in Nigeria. So thank you to you and to all members of the Nigerian diaspora and the African diaspora for really looking back at home and see how we can do that and how we can accelerate access to quality healthcare for all of our people. And also the DiasporaHub, I think I'm inspired by the many ramifications of what it can be used, connecting, bridging across nations, but also back here at home, whether it's in real estate, agriculture, investments, and Sylvester mentioned the healthcare value chain, an important area that we're still working on. We need not only the capital, but we also need your connections, your networks, to bring in investors to help us build pharmaceutical plants, diagnostic kits, medical devices, biologics, vaccines, but also service delivery, digital technology like what you're doing with the hub, with the app. Those are really important contributions that the diasporans can make. And as you get to ANPA, I would like you to pass this message to all the colleagues coming into ANPA, that Nigeria is open for business, and the diaspora can make a significant contribution in that. For those of you who don't know, 400 years ago, a major country in the world passed an edict that says, bring all our overseas Chinese and they will be executed, because it was considered almost a crime to leave your homeland. 300 years ago, 300 years later, it's about 70, 80 years ago, they changed and they created an office for overseas Chinese diaspora affairs. And that catalyzed a convergence of the talent, the network, the resources that fueled the growth of China. And that played also similarly in India. And we're seeing that also beginning to play in Africa and in Nigeria. So this is an important moment that we must all seize. Those of us that are here extending hands, and those of you that are out there extending your hands, so that we build a better, stronger, prosperous country. Thank you, and I will proceed to unveil the app.
This mobile app will now make it seamless for people in diaspora to connect to their homeland. Africa for so long has depended on the West for visually every aspect of human development and improvement. Even the natural resources that are bound today in Africa are sent to the West to develop a product and sent back to us on a higher price. While this mobile app, Diaspora Hub, will facilitate many kinds of initiatives like energy and power, skill acquisition, agriculture, education, transportation, and etc. Our initial approach is to focus on housing and healthcare. This single digital mobile platform will offer many real estate companies across the continent of Africa opportunity to publish their properties, making it seamless for diasporans to access them. On health, they say a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. This new initiative will stand out to be a game changer in a healthcare delivery system across the continent. We know one of the key metrics to evaluate healthcare in any country is the degree of access to healthcare by the citizens. And the key driver to access to healthcare is funding. With the current economic crisis across the continent and today's looming global economic recession, we must therefore begin to look for alternative ways to fund healthcare. Due to limited funding, many governments in the continent are facing the serious challenge providing basic public health insurance coverage for all their citizens. Even where they are provided, they are limited to only those in the formal sector, which, as we know, represent only a decimal fraction of the population. Private health insurance is almost non-existent. Today, majority of healthcare costs are paid out of pocket by the citizens. Given the above prevailing challenges, we must therefore look for innovative ways to fund healthcare delivery in Africa to improve the overall population health outcome. This is the mission of ADC. And to achieve this, by creating a diaspora hub, we are already existing duly registered, licensed, and vetted healthcare or health maintenance organizations can now publish their health insurance plans on a single mobile platform, making it seamless for Africans in diaspora to subscribe for healthcare coverage and protection for their families and loved ones back home. With this initiative, Africans in diaspora will now not have to worry about phone calls from their families and loved ones back home about unexpected medical emergency costs or worry about money sent to them being diverted for other things like to buy food or other personal needs, while the healthcare or their health condition deteriorates. On the other hand, their loved ones will now likely seek for healthcare early as they don't have to wait about the cost or worry about the cost. In the same vein, the healthcare providers will respond timely and appropriately to the care once they know that they will be reimbursed by the HMO. At the end, it will be a win-win situation for both patients and the providers, and ultimately improve the overall population health outcome. In terms of national economy, recognizing the millions of Africans living in diaspora today, this single healthcare initiative is expected to bring multi-billion dollars in indirect investment annually to the participating African countries. It is time for African nations to take their destiny in their hand and leverage on their enormous human capital resources in diaspora to lift African economy and welfare. Do you know, for example, today, Nigerians are the most educated, successful immigrants in America. With that alone, you can imagine the amount of contributions Nigerians are adding to the growth and welfare of America. Oftentimes, we are striving to attract foreign investors into our country and not remembering that almost all their profits that they make will be repatriated back to their respective countries. However, a diasporan Nigerian, for example, investing in Nigeria is likely going to leave that profit in the country, here in Nigeria. My fellow citizens, in closing, Nigeria and Africa as a whole has all it takes to compete with the rest of the world. But we must have the will. This can never be given to us in a platter of gold. Let's be innovative. Let's align ourselves with the 21st century digital technology to bridge the gap between the diasporans and their homeland. Let us turn to the diasporan engineers, doctors, nurses, dentists, scientists, technocrats, environmentalists, etc., to replicate the enormous wonders many of them are performing and contributing to the Western world. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And I must say that we are here today is a testament to the commitment and the tenacity of the group to actually address this particular need in our country. So congratulations once again. Today is more than an event to just launch an app. It's the beginning of a bold and new chapter in African healthcare financing, where we look for innovative ways to finance healthcare access for many Nigerians. $19.5 billion. $19.5 billion was the amount in diaspora remittances in 2023, according to the World Bank. That amount has continued its upward trajectory after its initial decline during COVID. When you examine what the diaspora send these monies for, part of it is for investments, part of it is for just general upkeep, but in the top three is always paying for healthcare. Up until now, a lot of this healthcare was paid for out of pocket, which meant typically when our loved ones have a healthcare need, they reach out, and well-meaning Nigerians in the diaspora send money to address that specific healthcare need. This contributes to the fact that healthcare expenditure in Nigeria is about 70% out of pocket. There is a better way to do this. And that better way is through health insurance. It says that we pool our risk. It says we pool our resources together and prepay for these services. And this will enhance access to healthcare for all Nigerians. Hence, I was very excited when the concept of the diaspora health insurance came up. Because as a country that has prioritized access to universal healthcare coverage, which is one of Mr. President's major commitments to Nigerians, and this was exemplified when he launched the Nigeria Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative, which is led by the Honorable Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare. This initiative will definitely move us along that trajectory to achieve universal healthcare coverage for all Nigerians. Health financing in Nigeria is a long way from where we want it to be. But the good news is that we're not resting on our oars and we're making determined efforts to close that gap and enhance access. In the NHIA, we started with a strategy which focuses on 4 major pillars. The first is to expand coverage from all Nigerians. We started with a baseline of about 16.7 million Nigerians covered by any form of insurance, December 2023. As of December 2024, that number went up to 19.4 million Nigerians. It was the largest increase in 1 year, a testament to the collective effort that most Nigerians have made. We'll continue this trajectory because, one, health insurance in Nigeria is not mandatory. Secondly, together we will continue to increase awareness to tell Nigerians that there's a better way to pay for healthcare. You don't have to wait and pay out of pocket at 2 a.m. when you're sick. And thirdly, we continue to rebuild trust to make sure that health insurance continues to deliver for all Nigerians. The second focus of Mr. President has been on equity, ensuring that no Nigerian is left behind. That's why the coordinating minister set an agenda to reduce the impact of vulnerability on Nigerians. First, by crashing maternal mortality. And so we started in NHI, keying into that by providing the free access to comprehensive emergency obstetric care in Nigeria, where we're working with providers, health insurance entities, to ensure that if a woman is at risk of dying in childbirth, that she can access care and financing will not be the barrier or the determinant as to whether she lives or dies. And today, since this program was launched, over 3,000 women have benefited. Over 200 referral centers in Nigeria have signed MOUs with the NHIA to continue to do this. We also recognize vulnerability occurs in different ways. That's why the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund ensures that the poor, the internally displaced, those who suffer from disabilities are all covered under it. And to show the commitment of the government, the budget was doubled from about 150 billion in 2024 to about almost 300 billion in 2025. Again, signaling more commitment to ensure that Nigeria's path to universal healthcare coverage is not one where only the rich get covered and we wait for it to trickle down to the poor. We're saying we don't want to leave the poor behind. We must be intentional about covering them. And we are very comforted by the fact that the principle underscoring the diaspora health insurance is the same, where those who have Nigerians who are in the diaspora are paying for healthcare for those who do not have. I think it was Martin Luther King that said that we are caught in this inescapable network of mutuality. What affects one affects all. Health insurance is a form of solidarity, and the diaspora health insurance underscores that solidarity, where what used to be known as a black tax, where if you're making it abroad, you have to help people back home. We see it as an investment in the human capital. After all, as Chinua Achebe said, Africa is people. So I see this not just as a plan, not just as an app, but it's a commitment, one to our mutuality. It's a commitment to equity. And it's also a commitment to ensuring that Nigeria moves a step forward in achieving universal health coverage. So I'd like to use this opportunity once again to congratulate everyone for being here today and for all the actions that we are taking today. And thank you for partnering with government to ensure that we use existing platforms, accredited HMO plans in Nigeria, to actually ensure that we continue to finance access for all Nigerians. So thank you very much once again, and congratulations.
Insurance Authority, thank you so much for being here as well. We'd like to recognize the team from the Association of Nigerian Physicians. We'd like to recognize the Nigerian Diaspora Forum International as well. We'd like to also welcome to be here. official powerful song. Distinguished